Hi there, welcome back to JD Answers. Today we're going to discuss what to do in case you're in an accident with a dash cam. Now this is brought to you by the Dash Cam Solution podcast. And today I'm just focusing on what to do in an accident with your dash cam only. So this is after you checked if you're okay, your family's okay, you checked on the other driver, everybody's okay, and you're out of harm's way. So the first thing you want to do is, before we leave the driveway, we want to make sure that the dash cam is mounted correctly. Is it facing forward, meaning not to the side, the right side or left side, and is just right above the hood, and that way you get a clear view of what's in front of you. Now, sometimes you may have to watch your footage, and I say you should do this at least once a month when you format your micro SD card. And we'll get to that part later, or maybe a different podcast. But review your footage once in a while to see if your camera is mounted correctly. Now, after a few times, by doing this, you're like, it's fine. But then you have to do it maybe every 6 months, or if you want to push it, 1 year, because you don't want to be in an accident and the camera is mounted to the left, to the right, the audio is not on or anything. You want to make sure it's there correctly. Now next is, do you have a clean window shield? Most of the time you're looking at it every day and it looks clean, but it may not be. So that's why you got to use your windshield wipers every once in a while, spray the mist on the windshield and clean it. Because sometimes you may have sap, or sometimes when it's not cleaned right, or from the windshield wipers go back and forth, if you haven't changed them frequently, then it leaves the streaks. And those are what you want to be careful for, because it could cause a glare, or it could cause a distortion if that streak is right in front of the dash cam. So you got to be careful with that. Clean those window shields. And then what you want to make sure is that the window shield is clean on the inside as well, because it could also leave a haze on the inside of the window shields. Now, my wife has had 2 cars that always build up haze. I think one was a Dodge, and right now one is a Ford. For some reason, it builds a haze on the inside, and I'm constantly cleaning it for her. In her mind, it's perfect. But when I get in the car sometimes with her, I could put my finger on the window shield and move a finger down, and you could see a clear path. So that means you got a haze on the windshield on the inside, and you got to clean those window shields. Now, because if you don't clean those window shields, the haze, then it's like a layer of fog that's in front of the dash cam lens, and you're not going to get a clear picture. And then if your window shield is dirty, well, then you have even more distortion on the window shield. So clean those window shields, because you want to have a clear footage in case you're in an accident and you don't want nothing in the way. Now, the next thing before you leave your driveway is to make sure that you're formatting your dash cam regularly. Now, the reason is because you have a lot of locked files caused by your G sensor, and it's taking up space for your loop recording, in which is your normal recording. So you want to make sure you have enough space for loop recording to capture anything in case of an accident. Because anything that the G sensor senses, whether it's potholes, speed bumps, or hard braking, all that is tied up into those locked files. So you got to go at least once a month to start with. Go back, see how many locked files you have. Do you have a lot? Is it not too many? What is your G sensor on? Is it on high and you have a lot of locked files? Or is it on medium and it doesn't have a locked files? Then you want to keep it at there. But if you have it on medium and it still has a lot of locked files, then you want to lower it, because all those locked files will take space from your loop recording. And you want to make sure you're doing that. So format those micro SD cards regularly. Now, after a month and you notice there was a problem or not, then in another month, review it. And at that time, if it's okay, then go by every 2 months, 3 months. But you don't want to pass 3 months. And there's a reason for that. And we'll go over that in another podcast. But right now, we're talking about what to do in an accident. So before you drive, format those micro SD cards. And yes, you would need, if you have any files that you want to save them and then format them. Now, most dash cams will have an app that you could download it to, and that will be an easier way to do it. Now, next, you want to make sure that your loop recording is set. Now, no matter what you set it on, 3, 5, 10 minutes, whatever it is, set your dash cam on that. That way, your dash cam is constantly deleting older files and recording new ones. That way, it's continuously recording. Now, again, too many locked files, not enough space for loop recording. So you want to make sure you have several hours of recording time with loop recording. Now, the last thing before you drive is to have an extra micro SD card in your glove box. Now, most dash cams give you a 32 gigabyte micro SD card as a starter. And then you could use that micro SD card to use it in case of an accident. In other words, you want to preserve your evidence. Now, what I did is this. I put emergency SD card, and there's a micro SD card in there, but look how small that is. So if you make one of these, and the reason you put it in a bag is because if you put this by itself in a glove box, it's going to get lost. It's going to get lost in the shuffle. So that's why I put it in a bigger bag. Now, if that's too small for you, like if you're afraid somebody might throw that away because that micro SD card is way too small, then you could put it inside the adapter and put it in there as well. And that way, you know, like, okay, I could see it and the micro SD card is inside the adapter. I took it a step forward, and this is why I did this. Now, in case somebody goes to my car, cleans it, or there's an accident, they don't see it because they're in a panic. What I did is this, and I got some other items in there, and I'm going to show you why. All right, so this is my bag here. Now here I have the micro SD card on a white piece of paper, and it's taped with regular Scotch tape on there. And there you can see the micro SD card is inside the adapter. So if there's an accident, I'm sure somebody's going to find it this way if I can't get to it for any reason. Because then somebody could just, my passenger, whoever, could pull this out and then they could get the SD card. And remember, it's taped, so it's no big deal of getting this out. And then that way they could get the micro SD card and put it into the dash cam, take out the old one and put the old one in the emergency bag and seal this. And if you put it in a regular envelope, that's great, but the envelopes don't seal unless you have the plastic one, I mean the adhesive ones in there. But this one will seal. And then you get the micro SD card put in there and your evidence is preserved. But then there's other items in there. And why do you have other items in there? And we'll discuss that in a little bit. All right, there is one more thing. I know that I said the bag was the last thing, but there is one more. Make sure you are able to view your footage from your dash cam. This is like muscle memory. You got to teach yourself to go to the dash cam, review the files, and look at the last file that was recorded. Now, it's usually in the locked files or emergency locked files. And you just want to train yourself to get in there and view it. Now, if you haven't done so, start doing it. At least just review it twice. Just go through it twice. Because you're still going to have time when the accident occurs. And then when you call the police, because you know the police takes a long time to get there. And then when the officers come, you have time to review the footage and have it ready for the officer. Now, you have to just show the officer the footage. You just don't want to let them, you don't want to tell them you have the footage, because most of the time they're going to say, okay, just send it to your insurance company. But we'll go to that in just a little bit. All right, so that is it. So review your locked files and make sure you format your SD card regularly. Make sure the windows are clear, and that way you get all debris off the window shields. Make sure your loop recording is set. Make sure you have a backup micro SD card to preserve the evidence. And make sure you know how to review your footage. All right, now let's get into when an accident occurs. All right, everybody's okay. There's no threats to anybody. The cars are out to the side. And this is where you want to do. This is one of the first thing you want to do, okay? If you can, position your vehicle in front of their vehicle. In other words, your front dash cam or even your rear dash cam is facing the other vehicles. Because what happens in an accident is the individuals are at their vehicle and they're talking and they're conversing. Okay, so that's what you want to do, so you could capture all the video footage on there. Now, if you have audio in there, make sure that audio is on. That way you could capture anything that's being said. Now, it may be a little hard to hear, but at least you could get some of the voices in there. Now, because most of the time the drivers meet up and they talk, and you want their drivers to come to your vehicle by your window so you could start talking and you could start recording what the video is already recording, but you could get them on video what they're saying, and you could capture all the audio, and then you could capture them emitting fault. So this is the one thing that helped me in one of my accidents is I did that. I parked right in front of them. I wasn't able to have them talk to me close to my window, but I was able to capture some of the voices in there, and that really did help me in my accident. Now, if you can't position your vehicle in front of their vehicle, what you want to do is take a picture of their license plate, because the license plate gets all the details about the vehicles and the insurance. Now, if you have to move off the side of the road, you want to take the picture at that time. Because, you know, when you're in accidents, you get off, is everybody okay? Then you want to just, okay, let's get off the road. Let's meet over here. Take a picture of their license plate, because you never know if they're just going to run off on you. But if you have that picture, you got it. And especially if it's on your dash cam, that's even better. One of the things they always say is never admit guilt in an accident. That's what the insurances are for. Let them discuss. You just tell the officer what happened and then you move on. Now, I know one driver was going down the road and there was cars on her left side, and on the right side there was a city truck parked because they were cleaning the brush off the road. Well, this driver thought she had enough room because they had a trailer on the back of their truck, and she hit that trailer, and it caused a little bit of damage to the trailer, but it was more damage to her vehicle. And her vehicle ended up being totaled because it was so much damage that was caused. And usually in the back, they don't like to repair all that. They just pretty much total the vehicle. Now, the insurance claimed that it was her fault. Now, she did not have a dash cam in her vehicle. Now, I always told this individual to put a dash cam on her vehicle just in case, and she never wanted to. She said it wasn't necessary. So when I got a call that, hey, I had an accident, can you help me? It's close by your house. So I went, and I noticed that they were putting cones around the trailer. And the first thing I asked her was, did they have cones out when you had the accident? She said, no. She goes, I asked them, were they already working? She says, yes, they're already working. Nobody was around that area. Okay. So what that tells me is that the individuals, the city truck, did not have the proper blocking off from the vehicles to make sure nobody hits it. They had no cones out. They had nothing out. And when she started talking to the to the officer, she was telling them like, hey, I got here and I told them, make sure you tell them there was no cones out, that they were putting it out after the accident occurred. Well, of course, the city truck was saying a different story. No, we had them cones out. It was already there. And of course, there was an argument. My friend was saying, no, it wasn't. They were saying there was. But again, there was no video evidence. But if she would have had a dash cam, it would have shown that when she was driving by, there was no cones out. There was no protective cones telling any driver or showing every driver like, hey, be careful with this route here. Now, the trailer that they were pulling was 8 to 10 inches away from the curb line. So that means the trailer was sticking out. But since they told the officer they did have cones, it was deemed her fault. And that's when I told her, if you would have had a dash cam, you could have turned this accident into their fault, because it really was their fault that they didn't block off the area with their trailer sticking out. So again, this is one of the reasons why you should have a dash cam in your vehicle, to catch any incidents. So before you admit guilt, look around, see what caused the accident. Was there anything in the way that shouldn't have been there? Was anybody parked in the wrong area and did not have the proper cones out? Always look for that. All right, so the accident occurred, everyone's safe, and everybody's out of harm's way. So what you want to do is start taking pictures of the area around you. Now, most of us have a cell phone that we could do this. Now, if your cell phone gets cracked or broken while you're in the accident, then you don't have anything to take pictures or videos with. But then you do. You have your dash cam, and your dash cam could help you take pictures. Well, what if my car is not drivable anymore? So therefore I can't turn it on. If I can't turn it on, then there's no power to the dash cam. Well, you can have power by using a portable cell phone charger or a portable charger. And that's why I had the extra cords in my bag. So this is one of those inexpensive chargers. I think you get them at Walmart or anywhere for $5 or less. And then I got the cord that comes with the dash cam, and I put it in the bag. So if you're in an accident and you can't use your cell phone or anything to take a picture, nobody's with you so they could use their cell phone. So what you got to do is grab your dash cam. Your dash cam could take the pictures and videos for you. So you get your portable charger and you connect your USB cord to it that came with it, or you could buy it on Amazon. These are really cheap because this one's a mini USB for this King Slim D4. So these are like $2 or $3. These are very inexpensive. So then you get it and you can connect the car charger to it, or I'm sorry, to the charger. And once you get it, and look at that, it turns on. You see that? And now you could capture any details you want with this. You could take your pictures, you could do videos, whatever you want to do with it. And you could just hold it up and just record all around the area. You could record their license plate, you could take a picture of their license plate, whatever you need to do, and that will do it for you. And this is very handy. And these things will keep a good charge for this. Now, all you need is probably about 3 minutes, the most 5 if you want to do more detailed videos around. You could do that. And with this here, this was free. The cord is free. This was like under $5. Your dash cam you already paid for. So all that's there. In case you need it, it's there. But just know how to take pictures with your dash cam, because that's going to help in the future. So that's why, again, I carry everything in this bag. Now, what I did is, most dash cams come with the 32 gigabyte SD card. All right, I call that a starter. You should always use the maximum SD card that it's allowed for that dash cam. And the reason is because you want more space for your loop recording and your G. You want more capacity for recording any videos you have. And the 32 gigabyte is your backup, because once you're in an accident, you want to preserve your evidence. Now, one of the things you have to do is, if you have loop recording, if the accident occurred at 4 minutes and 45 seconds of your loop recording of 5 minutes, well, then you're only going to get that 15 seconds. So what you want to do is lock the next file, and that's what you want to do. But again, you could always do that later, as long as you preserve your evidence. So you get the micro SD card from your dash cam, and you put it in here, and you put this one inside your dash cam, because you always want to make sure you have some type of recording going on. Now, another thing you could do is, if you have any witnesses, get them on video describing what happened. Because a lot of times when you get their information, the insurance won't call, the other insurance won't call, and then you have to do all the work for them, because they don't want to do that extra work. So you have to do that. But if you record them stating what happened, then that's great. That's more evidence besides the driving footage for your case. So if you can, get them on video. If they don't want to be on video, don't pressure them. Just say, okay, just hopefully they could stay with while the officer comes. If they can, great. If they can't, ask them one more time. Can you please do it before you leave, just to make sure we get all the evidence on there. So try that. And of course, you could always use your dash cam to get them on video for that. Another thing is if you could get the witnesses close to your window shield and have them start talking while they're close to the video, while the car is on and is recording, then that's great. But again, what if you can't have your vehicle on because the vehicle can't start anymore? Well, then that's why you got this, to keep it on, and you could turn it off and on when you need to. So if they're away from your vehicle, take it away. When they start getting close, connect it, and it starts automatically recording, and it starts recording the audio as well. If you have the audio on, it will start recording everything. So these things are great. Now, I have another one in my backpack with me at all times, and this is a larger one. So this would take more time. So in case if I'm ever in an accident, because last time I used this one, but if I have this in my backpack, well, this one's going to have a longer time for me, and I could use this. But just be careful. You can't have these for hours in your vehicle because all these things heat up, and you don't want that. So this is just for temporary in case you don't have power to the dash cam or power to your dash cam to take any videos or pictures. So these things work. Now, while you're waiting for the officer to come, this is the time you start reviewing your footage. Get in there and start reviewing your file to see which one it is. Get it on the screen that you have it on. So if you have a little small screen like this, you could start having it ready, and all you have to do is press play. Now, if you have an app that will get it to your cell phone, then that's what you want to do too. You could have it set to your phone. You open up the car app that you have, and then you could see the files through there. And then that way, when the police comes, the officer comes, you could show them this. And this is another way to do it. And then if you're able to transfer the file, what you want to do is download it to your cell phone first, because that's called preserving the evidence. And then if you have any cloud storage at that time, it would automatically secure it to the cloud. And that's what you want. You always want backups of this incident. And then if you have it to your phone, well, you could Bluetooth it or Wi-Fi or email it to the officer or whoever it needs to go to. And then you could go from there. Now, what I did is I never give the evidence to the other driver. I don't do that. It just goes between me and the insurance company. That's it. I don't give it to anybody else. Of course, the officer if needed. I just show them to him. All right, so now you have the evidence in front of you. You're able to show it on the phone, and some dash cams have a rear mirror dash cam where you can show a larger screen on that. And all you got to do is have it ready to press play. That's what you want to do. Now, when the officer comes, automatically start showing them the video. Say, hey, this is what happened. And look, you can see what's happening. Because a lot of the officers, well, not a lot, two of the officers so far, because I've been involved in several accidents that I've gone to help other individuals. And some officers do not want to see the videos at that time. They want to do it at a later time, or they don't want to do it at all. They don't want to see it. They just want to write the report and go, which I understand that. But if you could show them the video without asking, so they won't say, oh, just give it to your insurance company. Show them, because whatever they write on the report is what the insurance goes by. Yes, they're biased. They have to write down whatever you said and they said. But if whatever you say is backed up by this dash cam video, then that's what you want to show them, because you want to make sure there's no discrepancies later. Because I had one driver that went into my lane and hit my front left fender. And their insurance, when I went to their insurance, stated that, well, maybe I should have slowed down. Maybe I should have done this. I'm like, no. They went into my lane. I honked the horn. The other driver didn't and move out of the way. It continued going into my lane. So therefore, the accident occurred. Well, the other driver said, well, it's part of defensive driving. You'll have to pay 40% of the cost, and we'll pay 60%. I said, no, I'm not going to fall for that. No. And this was I think it was State Farm Insurance that this was part of. And I said, no, this is not the way it's going to happen. So, and I ended up having to do a claim with my insurance and to fight that. And because I did show the other insurance company the footage, and they still said, no, it was partially my fault. I went to my insurance, unfortunately, and I had to fight it to make sure that the other insurance company would accept the claim, and they end up accepting the claim. And I didn't have to pay any money out of pocket. Yes, it was a claim against my insurance, but ultimately it was the other insurance fault, and they had to pay out to fix my car completely. But again, the dash cam is what helped it. If I didn't have that dash cam, I'm sure my insurance would have probably gone with the other one. I don't know, but that's how I think insurance companies go. But always have the evidence right there. And what I did is I preserved the evidence. I put that micro SD card in the bag. I put the backup into my dash cam because my car was still drivable, but I didn't want anything to affect anything of my micro SD card. But once I got home, because I saved it on I had my laptop at the time, so I was able to put it on my laptop. I was able to show the police officer what happened in my laptop, because this laptop is a bigger screen. This one's a smaller screen. This is a 13-inch screen. The other one's a 15. So he was able to see everything from before the accident happened to the accident and after the accident. So I was able to do all that. And that's what you want. You want to make sure that the evidence, the dash cam footage backs up your story and everything that you said. So since I had my laptop at the time, if I didn't have my laptop, when I got home, I would have done the same thing. I would have copied the file to my hard drive, and then I would back it up to my backup drive I have at home. That way I have it in several places. And then since I saved it to my laptop, it also went to the cloud. So there was 3 places where it would always be. Now, I also named this a file. I named it Do Not Delete. And that way, in case anybody uses my computer, my files or anything, they would not delete that one. In which honestly, nobody touches my computer. So from the accident, you want to make sure you get all the evidence all around you. Do not admit guilt. Review your footage, because there might be other circumstances on why the accident occurred and why you had to move out of the way, or you weren't able to have enough room to drive by. So don't admit guilt. Review your footage first. Tell the officer exactly what happened. And if you can, show them what happened. And that will help you out later. Talk to your insurance company. Let them know what happened. Show them the evidence. And that's going to help you, because that helped me several times. Now, if there's anything I missed, or there's anything that you want me to go over, put it in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you on that, or we can make another podcast of this. If this video was helpful for you, please give me that thumbs up. You know, I appreciate that from you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, select all notifications, because I'll have more dash cam solutions coming out for you. Now, whatever you want me to go over, put them in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you. Does it sound like I'm saying comics? I said comet, but I say it sounds like I'm saying comic books. Comics. Anyway, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.